Hey horror fans, Bored now, back with you on this video. I'm going to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. So this is a brand new cinema release. It came out on Friday. It's also on Peacock if you've got access to that in the States. And this was a bit of a random watch for me because I was already in town, I was already seeing a couple of different movies, either end of the day on Saturday, and I saw this was showing at 5 p.m, which was like a good time to squeeze in between those two movies. So I thought, what the hell, it's pretty cheap at my local cinema, or the cinema there in Lancaster, so I decided to give it a watch because I was curious to see what it was like. I'd seen the trailer a couple of months ago, a few months ago maybe even, and it's one of those things, Five Nights at Freddy's, that I'm a total casual to it. I had very little idea what it was, bar getting a little bit of a clue from the trailer, so I definitely wasn't the target audience, but I thought it'd be one that's worth covering on the channel. So I'll go into it and say that the screening I was in was pretty packed. There was a lot of people in there, a lot of younger people, and because it's based on a video game, it's based on a 2014 video game. So I got the impression the target audience were making up the crowd really that day. Like, I think a lot of the people in the cinema were people who would have played the game and then know the game. So that's just like context a little bit for me because I'm a casual to this stuff. So the setup to the movie is then you've got a character played by Josh Hutcherson who's recently lost his parents, and he's been left with the responsibility of looking after his younger sister, Abby, and it's something that he struggles with, especially since he is still having visions of his dead brother. Like, he keeps having these random dreams, and they cost him in his own life, his personal life, but also when he's at work. Like, he pretty much loses his job as a security guard because of it. But then one day he's called into the office of the manager of the mall that he works in. He's played by Matthew Lillard, and whenever you have Matthew Lillard introduced in such a way in a movie like this, I think you can guess that maybe there's something a little suspect to his character. But he offers him a job, like, says, I do have a very important job, because the Josh Hutcherson character is desperate for money to support his sister Abby, because at the same time there's like a custody battle between him and other family members, and they're trying to pursue legal action and try and prove that he's unfit to look after Abby. So that's like a subplot. So the Josh Hutcherson character is offered this job at nights looking after this like old pizzeria, which was originally a big thing in the 80s but now isn't such a big thing. It's very run down and it's all like mysterious circumstances. So he takes the job because really he needs it, and things start transpiring. Like, he once again, rather irresponsibly, is sleeping on the job and having these dreams, these visions about his brother. He also sees like these children in the dream, which are like indicating that they know what happened to his brother. At the same time, you've got like these props, these like seemingly playful, cuddly, electronic like toys, bears, who are there as well. And he meets this character, Vanessa, who's like a local cop who like runs the beat, watches over things. And she stops by on his first night and is kind of just giving him tips and like just giving him warnings about what the job entails. And is almost very like cynical of the job. It's like, yeah, you have to really keep your eyes open, watch out, because this isn't an ideal setup. And once again, with this being a movie like this, it's clear that she has a bit of a history connected to the place as well, and knows a little bit more than she's letting on. But she befriends him and kind of like gives him like advice and watches over him. And as things go on, we're obviously going towards this plot where these seemingly cuddly creatures, these robot toys, are basically dangerous or like potentially threatening, and there's a big like mystery regarding the setup of the place. So just to sum up my thoughts on it, really, to give you an idea of if you should go and see it or not. For me, overall, it was a bit meh. Like, it was just fine. It was there, and it passed the time well enough. It was quite a short movie. It wasn't that long. So I can't say I wouldn't say don't see it. Like, it was watchable enough. It just didn't really grab me enough at times. Like, there were moments I liked, but also I thought the pacing was really sagging at times. And some of this might just be that it's not the movie for me, or because I don't have the insight on the games, then maybe it just wasn't for me. Like, it didn't grab me, or it just felt a bit alien to me. I definitely got the impression that the people around me in the cinema were enjoying it, so it seemed to work for the target audience. And I certainly enjoyed bits of it, but the pacing for me didn't really work. Like, it did drag a lot. There was a lot of stopping and starting. Like, you got to certain scenes and you thought, yeah, the plot's really kicking in now, and then for whatever reason it would go off in a different direction, or it would just plod along a little bit without really kicking into gear. Like, it was a passable enough watch, and like I said, if you enjoy the game, if you're interested or invested in this sort of thing, I'm definitely not going to say don't watch it. I just think maybe there's better examples of this thing for me, and just maybe being a bit of a casual might work against it. But one of the things I would say is that maybe the pacing of it as a film doesn't work as well as the pacing of the video game, because I think the reason why bits of it dragged for me was because in a video game there's a lot of puzzle solving and like setting things up, and many more hours that you've got to get through compared with a film. So I think maybe that's why the pacing was definitely a bit off, because for me a lot of the appeal of this was getting to the plot with the robots, getting to the stuff where they're a threat, and our main characters are going to have to like work together and try and solve the problem and defeat the robots. And ultimately you have like an arc for the Josh character where, sorry, he's not Josh, but played by Josh Hutchinson, where he's very much cut off from his sister Abby. Like, they have a very traumatic, like, they struggle to really bond because of the circumstances, and he then has the arc where he has to get his stuff together and protect her from these things. And at the end of the film, the stakes feel more higher than they have been. Like, the stakes do get more intense, and it just becomes a bit more of a fun movie. And that basic premise was something which I could enjoy a bit more, but we didn't get enough of that for me in the film. And I do think that's maybe because of the pacing of the game, and probably them sticking quite close to the sort of pacing that you would get in the game and the structure, whereas for it to work more as a film, I think we needed it to be more condensed and more focused into like this one location, and it being like the challenge of the security guy protecting his like kid sister. So there's also a lot of like like baggage, I think, with some of the plots, with like the subplot of him trying to keep custody of her, and it turns out like there's this whole subplot where there's a scheme by, I think it's the aunt or the grandmother, and like she's got someone to pretend to be a babysitter so she can try and get dirt on him and try and use that to get custody of the granddaughter. And yeah, stuff like that wasn't really that interesting. It seemed to like drag the film down a little bit, although there was some fun moments with those characters, but overall that stuff kind of dragged the pacing of the film. Also, the Josh Hutcherson character was like really miserable throughout. Like, he was overly miserable, and that definitely made it hard for me to really engage with him in as a character. I'm not sure if he's the best for a lead in a film overall. Like, he does feel more like a supporting actor. Like, I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he did an okay job, but like I do see him more as a supporting character than a lead character, and it was definitely off-putting, like what a mope he was at times, where it was just a bit overly exaggerated. But having said that, he had a decent arc, and I did get into the relationship with him and Abby. Abby was delightful. Like, the actress playing her was really like delightful and charming. She felt like a very natural kid, and she had like a good range of emotions. So Abby was very like watchable and fun to watch. Also, Vanessa, that character, I quite enjoyed. I quite liked her sort of laid back vibe and how she was quite nurturing, but also quite tough. She was quite honest with the security guard as well, whose name I've forgotten, as you would have guessed. But yeah, she was like a fun little character, and when her backstory was revealed, and she's the daughter of the boss, the Matthew Lillard character, and there was a little bit more than she wasn't letting the main character know, then that stuff played out quite well, I thought, overall. And I quite enjoyed her character, and there's some decent enough horror moments. That's probably the other complaint, is that as a big horror fan, those moments didn't really hit as well as I was hoping. It probably does feel like a little bit more of a watered down, like, teenager type movie, and that's fine because that's probably the target audience. But like, the horror wasn't that good in the movie. I would say it's just okay. So that sums up the movie, I think. Then it was just okay. It was a little bit on the meh side, but again, that could be just me not being the target audience, me not being that familiar. So to sum up, I think if you're a fan of the game, it seems like it's probably going to work quite well for you, and you should check it out. Like, and I didn't have a horrible time. It's just it didn't really hit enough of the right beats for me. So I'm going to give it about 5.5. So that's Five Nights at Freddy's, which is on general release now. Also streaming on Peacock, as I said. So thanks for listening. And this will be one of the last reviews to go up on Halloween. So I'll just say happy Halloween. Have a great day. Have a good spooky season, the rest of it. And like and subscribe as always. I'll see you guys again soon. Take care. Bye.